Hey, Alexandra.
How are you? Whoa, your camera looks super green. What'd you do?
Oh, it's the backlighting. I alternate between blue, green, and red.
Okay, cool. It's fun to have a green tint.
Yeah, depending on my mood. You know, if I'm in a dark mood and I'm in a slump, it's red. If I'm playing well, it's blue, and otherwise it's green.
What is green? Just neutral. Okay, I'll take it.
Green is I get to work with very talented players to prepare them for a tournament.
For sure. I am actually playing Iceland. I'm excited. Have you ever played Reykjavik?
Yes. Oh, Reykjavik Open. Yes, I played in 2015, just once.
Okay. And how was it? Did you like it? I played once before too, and I really liked it.
Fantastic. So, first of all, Reykjavik itself is like an experience. Just landing in the airport, your mouth is you're like, oh my god. Yeah. Obviously, the weather is something to get used to. I still have a screenshot on my phone. The wind, one of the days was 100 kilometers per hour. It was very hard to get to the playing hall, which was 10 steps from the hotel. It was literally
walking through the wind.
You were walking, and you literally had to grab onto like railing, fire hydrants and stuff. I've never experienced that, and it was just normal.
When I played, it wasn't so bad. I mean, it feels like March, April is a good time for Iceland, but I guess you never know what's going to happen with the weather.
You never know. But the tournament itself, like the organization, obviously, as you would expect from Iceland, is impeccable. The fish is obviously you don't go to a tournament for the restaurants, although I kind of do. The seafood is like mouth-watering. It's incredible. So definitely like get the fish. I don't know if you're a fish eater.
My favorite food was at the hotel I was staying when I played, there was this pizza that was potato leek pizza, and it's one of the best pizzas I've ever had. I don't know why it was so good, because they made the potatoes super crispy, so it adds a crunch, and then they added some little sauce on top of the leek, and it was amazing. It was so many weird combinations of foods, but I love them.
I don't think I've ever had potato on pizza, but I'm not a big fish eater, by the way, and in Iceland it was amazing. I'll have to try. So,
where would you recommend getting food from?
Gosh,
fish plate of yours.
It was I wouldn't remember because there was a weird setup where they gave me like vouchers, but you could only use them at certain restaurants.
I'm getting that too.
I did get pizza on the following day. I think most of the restaurants I went to there are really good. Obviously, like Reykjavik is a super expensive city, but basically, I don't think I had a single bad day in Reykjavik.
Damn, that's awesome. My best friend is actually flying out at the end of the tournament, and we're gonna explore for a few days after. So I'm actually gonna be a tourist, which is gonna be awesome, because last time I didn't explore.
No, absolutely. You should go to the Blue Geysers or whatever they're called. There's the famous Blue Lagoon.
I went to the Blue Lagoon with Anna Rudolph last time. It was nice, but I thought it was a little bit overrated. So
overblown.
I'm gonna ask the locals where they go. It was near some factories, and it felt like it was an artificial lagoon. It was still nice, and it had a spa, but I want to go where the locals go this time. So
I see.
I'll keep you updated.
Please do. I'll be following your games, obviously. But it's a nice tournament. I think you'll have a good time.
Thank you. I'm excited. Okay, let me quickly set up everything. Do you want to send me the invite for the board?
Would you like me to turn on my camera on Discord and disable it on my stream, or what setup would you prefer? Or are you good with just your camera? I can totally do that.
If you want, we could just yoink each other's cameras after. That's fine with me.
Okay,
I'm down to keep it simple.
Let's do that. I'm inviting you now. I've got some cool material. So, first things first, I have to give you this warm-up exercise. I had a hard time solving this.
So you're going to give it to me?
So but there's a caveat. It's not just a regular tactic. Just sent you the invite.
Okay. Hang on, let me accept. It's loading. I said yes.
Awesome.
Oh, I think it's just taking a second. Yeah, okay. Well, before we get into it, maybe we introduce I'll introduce the format quickly one more time for anybody who's new.
Good idea.
As you guys know, this is Grandmaster Naroditsky. I am around master level strength. So we basically do these training exercises so you can see the difference in thinking. We're also going to give you guys time in the chat so you could think about it. And if you want to see Daniel's point of view, I linked his Twitch stream in the chat.
Awesome. That was a very succinct description. Obviously, as I mentioned on my stream, some of the exercises are are challenging. So, people shouldn't expect, maiden two. Actually, they should expect maiden twos, as we're about to see. But the point here is to challenge ourselves and expand our thinking. And hopefully people in the chat will be able to do the same. So this kind of blew my mind. It was given to me by a friend. It's white to play and mate in 3 moves.
Wow.
Mate in 3, it's not one of those, I hate those troll problems. Oh, you got a castle or you got to like move your king to A7.
Yeah, those are tilting.
I hate those. It's actual mate in 3. So I'll give you some time to think about it. White's pawns, obviously, you should face white. White's going up. And black is currently stalemated, so that's sort of your jumping off point.
Okay. Do you want me to mute myself as I think out loud, or do you want me to just think and then you can
totally your choice. I'll let you think in peace, so you can think aloud, and I'll let you get off the ground, and then maybe I could add some things along the way.
Okay, perfect. So maybe I'll think out loud, and then you can correct or see anything that I miss. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit slower if I do that, but I think it's better anyway for people watching.
No worries.
Okay, cool. So, as Danya said, black doesn't have any moves here, even though we're up, 3 pieces. So the obvious way to start thinking about these is to just start. Oh, do you mind giving me arrow privileges?
I'll think about it. Just kidding. Give full control. There we go.
Thank you. Okay.
Any other requests, Alexandra? It's so demanding. I mean,
could
Jesus.
you send me a coffee, please? I need more caffeine. Okay, knight f8, bishop g8. Those are the checks we see right away. The other ideas I could go for if it's stalemate is, to move one of the pieces, like knight f4, so that I give black an option. I don't love that, though, because then you have to start calculating all the pawn pushes as well. Okay, so I'm going to sit here for a second, and actually, I'm just going to start thinking through the checks. Okay. So there's bishop g8, king takes, which looks forced right now, check, and then the problem with that is if the king goes back, you can't mate because he takes the knight. So that's probably not a mate in 3. Okay, then there's knight f8 check. He plays king h8, and then the only check I have that isn't repeating the position would be rook takes h6, pawn takes, and that doesn't end in mate either. So the first 2 checks seem to not work. Okay, what else?
So we've ruled out knight f8 and bishop g8 have been ruled out.
Yep, exactly. So the immediate checks don't work. Okay, next options. I talked about moving the knight, and there's also moving the bishop so that we're not actually stalemating. So, for example, there's the idea of bishop e8, which forces king to g8. And then what am I going to do from there? Is there anything? Rook f6?
But even gf.
He just takes. Yeah,
or even king h7. Even king h7.
Yeah, exactly. Neither of those work. So I could go deeper into this, but as of right now, I don't think bishop e8 works.
Nope. Yeah, you're right. Because you ultimately need like a target mating position, and with the bishop on e8, the only way to checkmate the king on h7 is to get the rook to h8, and that just seems unfeasible because you'll have to go through stalemate.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So the only other way to not keep him stalemated is to move the knight, unless I'm missing something, but that's what I see so far. And the options for the knight, we ruled out knight f8, so then the only 2 options are knight f4 and knight e5.
There is one more, by the way.
And knight h8. Oh my god, if it's knight h8, I don't think it is, though, because there's no mating position from there. Or is there? Because there is technically knight h8, king takes, bishop g6, king here, and checkmate. So actually, I do need to look at knight h8 as well.
So what you're doing right now is exactly how I approached this position, and knight h8 was my first attempt.
Okay. Okay. So, but then the other issue with knight h8 is what if the pawn is pushed?
G5.
So let's say, yeah, exactly. And then if you're not taking the knight, there's no mating position.
No mate in 2. And in fact, you can extend this to all of the knight moves. Knight f4, g5, knight e5, g5. We should show that on the board for people because my chat is excited at knight h8.
I'll let you play it out.
So what I think studies teach you, because you might be looking and saying, who gives a damn, a mate in 3? You're up 100 pieces. It teaches you A, to be stubborn, and B, it forces you to consider all of the opponent's resources, which I think is the primary instructive sort of value of these types of positions. So if king takes h8, you drop the bishop down and it's mate. The problem is that black doesn't have to cooperate. g5 opens up a square and it's mate in 4, I think, but not mate in 3. So like check, even takes, and there's no mate on the next move. You have to go here, and this is already 3 moves and this is 4 moves.
Okay, so we gotta get it exactly 3 moves.
Exactly 3 moves. So all knight moves have been ruled out.
All right, so no more knight moves. Then I guess we need to go. Let me think if there's anything else that wouldn't be stalemate. Oh, a move like rook f6.
Okay.
Oh,
rook f6 is an interesting idea. You're giving up the rook in order to grant black more moves.
And then you play king f8, but you don't get bishop g8 because then your knight isn't protected.
Yes, but you're on an interesting track. Are there any other ways to sack the rook, for example?
Right, and there's rook a2.
Okay.
Rook a2, but first let me see if there is a way to even check with to checkmate with the bishop and the knight. I mean, if you didn't have a rook here, you couldn't checkmate, as far as I see.
Okay. So that is the human assumption.
That is the human. Okay, so maybe there is a way to
human assumption. Look very carefully after rook a2, b takes a2. Your brain is telling you this makes no logical sense to give up the rook. How could there be an additional pattern when the rook is off the board?
Yeah, that's exactly what my brain is saying, Danya.
But force yourself to consider, like, ask yourself, what are the new moves that you have in that position that you wouldn't have previously?
Well, the pawn is way too slow, so we're not gonna try to do that. Now the cool thing is that black has an extra move, so we don't have to worry about stalemate.
True. But there's no mating pattern with the bishop and the knight and the black king on h7.
Yeah.
Let's make the moves on the board.
Okay. There is no mating pattern.
You're about to have a light bulb moment and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're going to hate me after this.
Oh, God. Oh, I see it. That's very cute. That's very cute. Okay.
It's very pretty.
So you take the pawn. I'll play it out. And then black takes g6 and then
forced
bishop b1. That's ridiculous, but it's very beautiful.
It's beautiful. I could not get it. So I needed to know the first move.
I mean, yeah, the human sentiment here is like, oh, there's no way to mate because you've already looked at it before, so you're not considering the change in position with b takes a2.
Right, exactly. And so much of like thinking is developing the ability to detect small details and how they impact the position.
Yeah. This is very cute. I'm going to turn this into a short.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at the crazy, you have to give up the rook and the knight, and that's the only way to checkmate.
Damn. That's a very cute puzzle. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, I figured we'd start with this one to sort of set the tone. And I know it's like brutally difficult.
It is, but it's so pretty.
So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I feel like if you give people difficult tactics, it has to be beautiful, so at least you feel good when it's over. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so I have a lot of cool material.
Show the starting position one more time because
definitely
people came in late, and then we'll go from there. So before we go into the actual exercises, the rest of them, which Danya, you haven't seen the next exercises, right? You're also going to be working.
That's right.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it was checkmate in 3 from this position, white to move. Okay, cool. Back to you.
Yeah, checkmate in 3 from this move, and people who came in late can do the thinking on their own. So I'm thinking we should do one more warm-up exercise. This is supposed to be a little bit on the easier side. Where this comes from is a book called The Manual of Chess Combinations, Volume 2. Now, I did some of these puzzles about 10 years ago, so I don't remember a single one of them. I promise I don't know the solution to any of the exercises that we're about to do. So we're going to start with an endgame study that's a little bit less outlandish than the one we just solved.
Wait, all right. This was the easy one?
No, this was on the harder side for sure. The next one that I'm about to paste in, I think is supposed to be a little bit more straightforward. So I just pasted it in. It is.
Sorry, can you give me a second? I just realized I'm not going to have your audio in the VOD, so I'm fixing it now.
Oh, okay, no worries.
It's okay. I'll take it from yours. All right, we're good.
All right, so this is white to play and win. White to play and win.
At least this one is more interesting because you're down material, but you have checkmating chances. And you know this one, or you have
no. I don't know the solution to this one. I'm solving it too.
Okay, so should we do that thing where we think for 2-3 minutes and then we talk out loud?
Yes, I think we should do that.
Oh shoot. Sorry, I have somebody who's coming to help me unpack, and I forgot, and I left her locked up.
No worries. Go do your thing. No rush at all.
1 second.
Take your time. No rush. So I'm gonna start thinking in the meantime. I'm gonna mute myself in Discord. Or actually, no. I want Alex's people to hear me. So it's white to play and win. White's pawns are going this way, folks. What's going on here? Well, the black king is checkmated. So I would suppose the target position involves getting the rook around to h2. So the most obvious move to me is rook f4 or rook f2. I'm actually going to mute myself in Discord so Alex's folks can think on their own. How is black going to defend after rook f2? Well, rook h2 is unstoppable. Black can move the king up to h5. So that tells me rook f4 prevents king h5 because then rook h4 is still checkmate. Rook f4, the only move I think is bishop to d1. Only move is bishop to d1 to block the check.
I'm gonna put a timer. Or did you already start thinking?
I started a little bit, but you should put a timer.
Okay.
And I will mute myself in Discord so I can think aloud on my own stream.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
I'm putting it up.
Here we go. Good luck. All right. So where were we? We were considering, and I won't draw arrows because Alex will see them. Rook f4, bishop d1, rook h4 check, bishop h5, g4, rook f3. So the white king is pushed away there. Rook f4, bishop d1. I feel like bishop e2. I feel like bishop e2 somewhere is going to be winning. But where? Rook f2, bishop d1. Rook f4, bishop d1. Just make sure this is the right position. Yeah, it is. Okay. Rook f4, bishop d1, rook h4, bishop h5, bishop e2, rook takes e2, rook f2, bishop d1. There has going to be some bishop move at some point that intercepts black's rook. But where? f4, bishop d1. Well, you can't start with bishop e2 because the rook is hanging. Can't start with bishop e2 because the rook is hanging. So it has to be a move of the rook. Rook f2, bishop d1, rook h2, bishop h5. Oh, I got it. Oh my God, I think I got it. It's rook f2, bishop d1, rook h2, bishop h5, bishop e2, force the rook onto e2, and then go g4, and it's mate with g5 because black can't give the check on the f file anymore. If he does, then we take the rook. The bishop takes the pawn, rook h2, bishop h5. And in that position, okay, I got it. There you can basically force Zugzwang. You can just wait until black gives up the e-pawn. Yeah, okay, I got it. That is insane. We will, folks, obviously, when we reconvene, we're going to make all the moves on the board. So if you're watching this and you're lost, don't worry, because we will make the moves on the board. What I'm doing now is giving you a window into how I actually think about these types of exercises, which hopefully is, interesting. Yeah, I think it's rook f2, bishop d1, rook h2, bishop h5. Then the point is, black is threatening rook f3 check. So you have to deflect the rook onto a square such that the rook will not be able to check the white king. On the f file, bishop e2, rook takes c2, and then the key is to see the pawn mate with g5. So it's definitely rook f2. It's not rook f4.
Okay, I'm going to pause. It's almost 3 minutes. And yes,
okay.
Sorry, I was thinking chat. I was thinking in my head. Okay, so I noticed, obviously we're trying to checkmate the black king. So ideas like rook f4 and rook f2 with the idea of trying to checkmate. I looked at the line rook f2, king h5, bishop e2, and then after black takes, rook takes. I mean, this looks pretty good for white, but
yeah, it's 50-50 type of position.
50-50. Yeah, exactly, because it feels like black can trade off for g3, and then this is going to be a draw.
So I think
it seemed like it wasn't good enough.
I agree completely. After king h5, I think there is a clean mate here, because it's important, I think, to detect small differences. So I looked at this for a second, and I realized that, well, what is black's alternate defensive method here? What is the only other move?
I just saw it, because it's king h5 and then rook f4.
Bingo. Rook f4. We should probably play it out. Now, black has no way to block the checkmate on h4, so rook takes g3, eliminating the support of the h4 square is the only move, and now bishop e2 check forces black to give up the rook, otherwise it's checkmate.
Right.
On h4.
Interesting. So this is basically combining what you learn with when you look at this position, because you're also considering rook f4, but then the problem is bishop d1 and you're blocking on h5. So what you're trying to do is you get the king there to block the square first.
Right. But of course, after rook f2, I thought the sort of other defense here was bishop d1 anyway. And did you consider this, or were you more focused on king h5?
I thought rook f2 didn't work.
Oh, because of king h5.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So
sorry. No. I thought rook f2 didn't work because of bishop d1.
Oh, okay. So
which is why the other variation seems to fix it.
Which is rook f4?
Yes.
So how do things work after rook f4? I play bishop d1. And what was your intention here? Because rook h4 is still bishop h5, right?
Yeah, right. It's still a problem.
And I think it's a bit of a dead end. So I think it is rook f2. And after bishop d1, what is like the most tempting idea? What are the two moves that they seem to win the game if you look very superficially?
Like stuff like rook h2, g4.
Exactly. So that's what I started with.
Check, yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'll play it out on the board so people kind of see what we're talking about. So this is the idea that obviously you want to look at first, but then after rook f3 check, you're pushing the king away, so I don't see how we're going to end up better here, because you end up trading everything. Yeah,
and it's a draw. In fact, black is playing for the win there.
Yeah, okay. Wait, why is black playing for the win here?
Well, not really, but I mean, I'm threatening rook f4. Like, I could see white losing this in a bullet game.
Okay, fair.
If white loses the g-pawn, then it gets complicated. Of course, white should play king e5. Yeah.
Obviously, right, chat?
Of course. Right. I mean, to be completely honest here, you know what white is playing for the win, but with that being said, so in any case, after bishop h5, I think it's a critical position. After black blocks the check. Because here I sort of tried to problem solve. Like, is there a way to forcibly prevent rook f2?
Oh my god.
Yeah, you got it.
Bishop e2.
I love the light bulb. Yeah, bishop e2 is right.
Wow, this is another cute one.
Bishop e2, rook takes e2.
And then you push g4.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
But then
it goes on. Rook f2, I thought rook takes f2.
Yep.
Bishop
and then
g4.
Bishop takes g4.
So rook h2 check, of course, bishop h5. And here I generated a target position, which is that, here's the thing. If black's e-pawn is gone, then I think white has a winning move, which is to step down to f5.
Yep, and give black the runaway square so that you could take the bishop.
So my second observation, so you have to force the e-pawn to be given away.
I was going to say, I want my brain to work the way your brain does.
I don't know if that's the case. I think if you see how my brain works, you'll be like, I don't know about this thing.
You get the chess GM, but you always break a few mouses here and there.
That's exactly right. So how do we get rid of the e-pawn without allowing black out of the cage?
Okay, well, that is a bit of a predicament. Okay, so let's say we're just keeping the rook on the H file. And then he keeps pushing. At what point would it be okay for us to take the pawn?
And we have to do it with the rook.
Yep. It feels like if the pawn's on E3, we should be able to take it, because then, because we need to be able to come back with check. Okay, so we basically need to take it on a light square then.
Agree 100%. And you can take it on E4.
Yep, you can take it on E4, exactly. So something like this.
Bingo.
And then wherever the bishop moves, it doesn't matter because you have that check back. He goes here, you make space for the king, and then you win.
I think that's what it is.
Wow, this was a pretty tactic. How long did it take you to find it?
Most of I was stumped the first minute and a half. I knew that bishop e2 was probably involved because it's also like a classic study motif. So the position after bishop h5 stumped me for a while.
The third move, you put it back there.
No worries. The third move, bishop e2, is what took me the longest. And I honestly think one of the reasons I solve these is just I'm like stubborn as hell. And in certain critical positions, I just refuse to admit that the line doesn't work. I've noticed this in my lessons as well. I don't think it's that I see more tactical patterns. I mean, I maybe see them more quickly, but I think I'm a lot more stubborn. I think I'm a lot less inclined to give up on a line, just in general.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, in 3 minutes, I couldn't go super deep in the lines, but I haven't. I think I asked you about this before, but when you're calculating lines, do you look at all of them kind of surface and then you go deeper into the ones you like? But do you come back to your lines, or do you try to solve it all the way through the first time you're on it?
I would say two things. I do try to solve it all the way through if I see a promising first move. Like if I see a move that seems promising, I won't, start looking at the other candidate moves until I've exhausted the line. But what I also try to do is when I consider other candidate moves, I try to extract information from a line that doesn't work. I don't think people do this enough. Like you calculate a line that fails, but in that line, you might have discovered an interesting idea that could be applied in a different first candidate move. So for instance, you might have been calculating, rook f4, and maybe in this line, you spotted the idea of advancing the g-pawn to g5 with checkmate. And then, of course, the same idea is applied in this position. So a lot of lines are connected, and you have to extract information even from lines that fail, I think.
That makes sense. And that's why the bishop e2 is so key, because the problem with any of those variations was that black would get some kind of check on f3. So that was the only way to not get that.
Exactly. Are you up for one more endgame study, or should we go to the middle game?
I love endgame studies.
Me too. So let's do one.
Awesome.
We're in agreement.
Let's do more.
I feel like the one I'm setting up right now can be either like really easy or really hard. Let's see which one it is. White to play and win.
Okay.
Here it is.
I don't see it yet, but I'll let it come up on the board. Ooh, white to play and win?
Let's do this thing. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to think for 3 minutes. And then I will start talking again.
Same here. I'll mute myself in Discord.
Okay, perfect.
All right, let's do this thing. So what do I see? Well, obviously, if we take the rook, black plays bishop f2 check and wins our rook, and that's a draw. First move I see is rook to e8 check. But then the king moves to f7 and hits our rook. And if we go rook b8 there, then black always has this check on f2. Are there any other checks? Bishop c4 check. What we could try to do is get the rook on a light square with check so that we could pick up black's rook and we don't lose our own. So bishop c4 check. If the king moves to f8, then rook f1 wins. If the king moves to h8, then rook e8 check wins. So bishop c4 check. Where can black go? King g7. Rook e7 check. Okay, I got to think here. King f8. King f8. Rook f7 check, king e8. Huh. King h5. Let's see. Bishop c4, king g7. Rook e7, king f8. Doesn't seem too promising. What about rook e8 check? Rook e8 check, king f7. No, I don't like that either. Okay, let's go back to bishop c4, king g7. I just got to think in silence. Oh, I think I got it. Wait. Check there. I think I got it. Yeah. So I think it is bishop c4 check, king g7, rook e7 check. There's also king f6 that has to be considered. Then rook e6 check, king f5, and you just move your king. That's got to be winning. So bishop c4 check, king g7, rook e7 check, king f8, rook f7 check, king e8. I think it's rook f6. Bishop d8, bishop b5 check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. It's not like a beautiful tactic, but there is a very pretty theme in the middle there. Yeah, so I think it's bishop c4, king g7, rook e7, king f8, rook f7, king e8, and then I think the critical move that's easy to miss is rook back to f6, hitting the bishop, but then there's bishop d8, pinning the rook against the king, and then white has the intermediate move, bishop b5 check. So I think that's the critical idea. This is more like, you know, this is less quote-unquote nice than the previous one, but I think it's super instructive.
All right. 3 minutes is up.
All right.
Okay. So I see that we're attacking the rook. We can't take right away because bishop f2, checking the rook and the king. And ultimately, the other important thing about this position is even if we somehow win a pawn, it's still probably going to be a draw if we trade off rooks. So then the question is there any way to get out of this check? And the most promising line looked like something bishop c4.
100%.
The king can't go to f8 because you check and you take the rook. The king can't go to h8 because you check on e8 and then you take the rook. So the only option is king g7. And I was working on figuring this out all the way through. But I think this is the position I started getting stuck at.
Yep. So far, I'm in agreement. So here I thought rook e6 check is logical. And I think there's two difficult spots in this study. So king f5. Black has to keep contact with the rook. Again, I think it's important not to be stubborn in regards to the goal. Because I formulated the goal as winning black's rook, but winning the bishop is also a way to win the game. I think if you think of it that way, the move is very clear. You just need to step out of the check, basically.
That's disturbing. Yes, I see it now.
So
you're right.
So what move do you think it is here? Because I think there's a trap you have to avoid.
Okay, yeah. So we don't want bishop f2, and we also don't want to play rook h5 and have rook a1 work. So then you have to play king h3.
You have to play king h3. Black can try h5, but now I think a simple move reinforces the threat of bishop takes a6.
Let's see. Where do we want to move our rook? We want to move our rook somewhere where the king can't attack it. So the only square is d6.
I think that's so. This position is winning for sure because black's rook can't move away with check.
You make it seem so easy.
But there's another line, by the way.
I was close, and I felt like I was close, but I didn't make it all the way to the end yet.
You totally would with like an additional 2 minutes. So I feel like you're getting the crux of this. There's also the king f8, which has to be considered.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take a look at that one too. So king f8, and I mean, the moves that I think you have to consider here are, I mean, it has to be rook f7.
Yes.
Oh, rook f7, and then the king isn't going to move to g8 because there's discovery. So they move to e6, and then rook f6.
Bishop d8?
Oh, bishop d8. You're right.
Nope,
okay,
but
so you need to be careful.
But remember stubbornness. You know, you don't abandon the line.
Never abandon the line.
Rook f6, bishop d8.
Oh, wow. Okay, bishop b5
Bingo.
check, forcing the king. Oh, it's disgustingly beautiful.
It's amazing. Bishop b5 check is, I think, the key move in this line.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's very cute. Don't abandon lines.
God, I love these studies that have where the beauty is of a different kind than the previous one, I think.
It is. It is. No, these are just so satisfying at the end.
They really are. They really are.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, you solved this one, and your big switch was realizing that you could just win the bishop.
Yes, that was the first biggest thing, which is that I wasn't in my mind saying if I don't win the rook, it's lost. I understood that if you get a situation like this and you can force the black rook to move, it's important also to realize that the white bishop is defending the pawn. Because if black could win the pawn, rook and bishop versus rook is a draw. But with the pawn on the board, it's totally winning. And then the second thing was the stubbornness to find bishop b5 check.
That makes sense. And yeah, I think that's one thing when you're calculating a plan, you know, until you're a grandmaster or a very strong player, it's easy to tunnel on one thing you're trying to do. But
yeah, exactly. But broadening the goal is super important.
Yeah, that makes sense. This was a cute one. I like the endgame studies. They're very fun.
Want to do one more endgame study?
Let's do it.
All right.
I want to find one. I just want to get one.
No, you're getting the right moves in all of them. I think 3 minutes is just not a lot of time for solving studies, but I still think we're, you know, producing instructive value.
Yeah, and we're making progress.
Totally. And I think this next one.
You know what I feel like? You know when you're in the gym and you're lifting a weight and you can't lift it anymore, and then you have somebody who helps you bring it all the way to the top? That's what you're
spotter.
For my mental exercises, yeah.
I just don't believe in like super easy exercise. As satisfying as it is, like what is the instructive value of doing puzzles that you can get in like 10 seconds?
You know, the interesting thing is that you said you should do puzzles that are 300 ELO above your chess.com puzzle rating, and Hammer says 300 ELO below.
Ooh.
So it's an interesting contradiction there.
Very interesting. I mean, my caveat is that, of course, you should do warm-up exercises, and there should be some time dedicated to just maintenance of your skills. But I was speaking about the sort of main phase of your training. But there's many methods.
It's okay. I'm not trying to start beef. Oh, you should beef between you and Don.
No, okay. I think it's great.
You and Hammer. Okay.
So this is it. Also, white to play and win.
White to play and win. I see people in my chat asking for his camera. We have his stream title, his stream name in the title. You can click on it and you can see both. Okay, cool. So should we do the thing where we think for 3 minutes? Wait, you said white to move and win?
Yes, I'm as surprised as you are.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Good luck. I'm gonna start the timer.
Good luck. Let's do this. Okay, so there's 2 ways to win this game. There's checkmate, and you need to win the queen, but you can't let black recapture the rook. Okay, so rook d1 is ruled out. Black's king moves aside, and if you take the queen, then only black can win that position. So I feel like it has to be knight c7 check. That's the only move which makes sense. So if king d4, then we fork with the knight. If king e5, then we go rook e1 check. If king f6, then there's another fork on e8. So the king has to go to f4. Knight e6 check forces the king to g4. But then if we go rook g1 check, black has queen g3. Ay. Okay, that doesn't work. Crap. I thought that was it. Knight c7, king e5, rook e1, king f4. Knight e6, king g4, rook g1, queen g3. Maybe we found a mistake in the exercise. Wait a minute. If it's not that, then what on earth is it? Maybe it's a mistake in the study, because if black didn't have queen g3, then it would be winning for white. Maybe it's some sort of Zugzwang? No, I don't think so. I think this might be a flawed study. I think this might be a flawed study, which is very instructive in its own right, by the way. Holy smokes. Let's see if Alex is stumped on the same idea. This would be awesome. Yeah, I think it's wrong. Alexandra, I got to cut you off for a second.
Okay.
I think this is a flawed study, but I'm curious if you're stumped on the same move that I am.
I'm deep into variation right now. I can tell you where I've gotten.
Yeah, tell me where you're gotten it, because I'm deep into variation, and I think this is a mistake in the study. I've confirmed this is the right position.
Okay, so I mean, I was looking into this line, knight c7.
Yep.
I'm just gonna play the line that I thought was the one that was the most tricky. Getting into this position here, and then I was looking at check, and it works at king h5, but I was trying to figure out what to do after king h3.
Here it works as well.
I see a draw,
but there's a mate there. There's a mate there.
There's a mate there. Okay, well, this is where I had gotten.
But there's something crazy, which is that in this position, black has a move that refutes the line.
Queen g3.
Queen g3. Yeah, I didn't
even think about that yet.
I think this was missed by the composer of the study. I'll check the solution, but you should find the mate after king h3.
Okay, yeah, this is where I was. Oh, almost. Okay, let me find it.
People in my chat confirming this is winning for black actually after queen g3.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Sorry.
Take your time.
So check, king h2. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Very cute.
Yeah. Okay, but this is where I was without moving the pieces. So I was just trying to figure out king h3 because I had seen the lines until then, but I also missed queen g3.
And so did the study composer. This is V. Koshik, 1906, and I'm reading the solution, and the solution misses queen g3.
Damn.
Wow.
I mean, it was 1906. We'll give them a break.
So I'm going to circle this because there are some people who collect wrong studies. So I'm going to note this down.
That's an extremely nerdy off. My God.
Definitely
it's like you leveled up solving. You don't just do chess. You don't just do chess puzzles, but you correct them.
Yeah, it was wrong. Like, I looked at the study and he missed a move, so it's an invalid.
Oh man, that's very funny.
You know what that means, though.
What does that mean?
That means we got to do hopefully one that has a proper solution.
Yeah, I was so close. I felt like I was gonna finally get an endgame study.
But that's so amazing how the study composer, it's the power of your brain, like making assumptions, right? Like, the king has to move in response to rook g3. That's a whole other topic, which is the importance of like not letting your brain kind of dictate, push you around, and really pausing on every position.
No, that's true. And then when you're solving the puzzle, you know there's a solution, so you're just going through what you think the solution would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, training puzzles and puzzles in real life is always so different.
Oh, 100%. And I think our next set of exercises is really going to help address that. But let's do one more study.
Okay.
White to play and let me see, and win.
Okay.
All right.
You are making it a little easier because you could have just said white to play, but
True.
I'll take it.
But I also am seeing it wouldn't be fair because I'm seeing plus minus in the book.
Yeah. And so we want to make it fair.
All right. Good luck.
Perfect. Thank you. You too.
All right, here we go. So, what do I see here? Well, we could take the knight, but then black takes b2, and that seems like an unclear position. Probably white is better, but it's not going to be totally winning. Rook b4 comes to mind because you can't take the rook. Queen c8, rook b8. You can't take the rook again. So where does the queen go after rook b4, queen c8, rook b8? Well, it has to go to h3. Then there's rook h8. Then there's rook h8. The queen has no squares. But black can go knight h4. Wait, black can go knight h4. Rook takes h4. Black can go queen c8. And then you go to h8 again. Queen b7, rook b8. Oh, that's unreal. You do that 6 times and you trap the queen. Oh, that's so pretty. Rook takes h4, queen c8, rook h8, queen b7, rook b8, queen a7, knight c6 check. So you chase the queen around the entire board using the technique of sacking your rook because the rook can't be taken due to a fork on c6 or on g6. Yeah, I mean, it's a concept that everybody should be familiar with, and I know this concept from studies, so it's not hard because I've solved a million of these studies. Maybe you have as well, where you have to chase a queen around with a rook that's constantly hanging and it can't be captured. So this is an easier one because it's the same theme for every move. That is really pretty. Really pretty. Girl. Huh. Phenomenal. I'm already looking at the next one we could do.
I think I got it.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I think it's rook b4.
Agree.
You can't play queen a7 because of knight c6. If you play queen a8, then you play rook b8. Either move, you're going to play knight c6. You're up enough pawns, so that's winning. So, of course, the more testing line is queen c8, rook b8. Similar idea, but then the black queen has this escape square. But then it looks like rook h8 works because there's nowhere the queen can run.
Right, but there's knight h4.
Nowhere here, nor here. There is knight h4, which I hadn't seen yet. And can you just take this, or is there an issue? Oh, if you take, I guess the queen can go back.
Keep going.
And then if the queen goes back, you have probably h3. Because you should be stubborn. Oh, you put your rook back.
Yes.
Then the queen runs again.
And
Why
then?
Is this queen always running? And then you put the rook on
Yes. Yes.
Wow, yeah.
It's a beautiful study.
Jesus, this is a lot of queen running around the board. I should probably play it out.
Play it on the board, yeah.
Okay, so you can't take because there's this fork, so the queen runs away. But you say not so fast, and you go rook h8. But the queen has another square, and that's when you play rook b8
again.
And
yeah.
Yeah, the rook goes back, and then this looks beautiful.
You know what's incredible about the study?
Who composes these? What's
this
incredible?
I'll tell you who composed it. It was, let me check the number of the puzzle. It's 5, wait, I'm looking for it. There, 557. This was Troitsky, Alexei Troitsky, one of the most famous study composers. 1910.
Damn. Was he Russian?
Yeah, so he worked as a forester. Like he lived in the wilderness, and he wasn't a chess player, but all he did is compose studies, and some of his like most famous studies involve like chasing a queen around the board.
Wait, really? That's so cool.
Yeah, Troitsky's awesome.
Chess elo?
I would estimate if he sat, I don't even know if he has any games in the database. Probably like, I'm sure he was like 2000, but no, he wasn't a master.
Damn. Can you spell his name out in our chat so I can look up some of his studies later?
Yeah. So it's TRO. It spells several different ways but the most common English spelling is TROITZK. No, his first name was not Leon. It was Alexei.
Wait, no I or Y at the end?
No I or Y. Well, there is a Y. TRO, ITZKY. Troitsky.
Okay, got it.
If you search that in Google, you'll find a bunch of studies.
Okay, cool. That's a pretty cool history.
So, but what's amazing about this one is how you literally go on the same squares. Like you go to B8 to H8, then to H8 and to B8. So yeah,
no, this was a very beautiful study.
So awesome. Yeah, Troitsky studies are great.
How crazy it would be if you played something like this in a game.
Unbelievable. Cheating.
That's true.
So, well, there's one that caught my eye, which I feel like has the potential to be beautiful, and it's a minor piece endgame. Want to tackle that one, and then maybe we can go to the middle games.
Yeah, let's do it. I really do like endgame studies, so I'm down.
No, and they're very. Again, I think a lot of people when they do studies, they're like, "Well, it's never going to happen in the game, so what's the point?" I think it teaches you a lot of skills. It's not all about solving positions that are going to happen in your game. None of the positions you solve are going to happen in the game. So I'm a big believer in studies. I've done. Oh, I thought you were going to have
some extra line at the end about why it's still important, but you're just like, yeah, they're not going to happen in the game.
Yeah, nope, it's totally useless.